So for this month's Things of the Month video, I thought I would show you our family's 8-year-old home theater system, which I've never really mentioned on this channel, but you know, I'm kind of proud of it. And it's a weird thing to say that you're proud of a tech purchase, especially in this case when it wasn't my money that was being spent putting together this system. But it has lasted 8 years, and you know, a lot of electronics don't last that long. So I thought this system deserved a little video tribute, and I'll take you through it and show you the setup and show you some cool stuff. Now, clearly I love to start a video by lying to you guys because not every part of this home theater system is 8 years old. And the reason why that is, and the reason why I was sort of prompted to make this video, was because yesterday I replaced this receiver. Now, this is an Onkyo TX SR606. Now, I don't mean to name and shame this receiver because it did last 8 years, and I think it could sort of technically last a bit longer than that. But the thing with this receiver is that in the past 1 or 2 years, it developed an issue where it would take up to 5 minutes to switch between HDMI inputs. And when you're basically the only person in the house who really understands how the home theater works, taking 5 minutes to switch between the HDMI inputs makes it seem like it's completely broken. And that means that you'll get calls in the middle of your day from your mother saying, I need to put the Wiggles on for the niece. She's screaming. We had to put Netflix on. Why isn't it working? Why isn't it working? Lachlan, why isn't it working? So we decided to replace this unit because of that issue. Now, apparently the actual issue is not particularly a big one. It's that the caps on the daughter board, the HDMI switching daughter board, which you can sort of see here through the grill, they've actually worn out. Happens apparently quite often with this particular model, but only after the warranty runs out. Ha ha ha. But I thought, you know, there are YouTube videos on the internet on how to fix this particular issue. It wouldn't really cost too much to repair it. But I thought it might be a good time for an upgrade anyway, considering that we might eventually get a 4K television or blah, 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 blah. I may still try and fix this and then sell it on eBay or something like that, or I may just, wreck it in the process of repairing it. But for now, this is out, and yesterday I replaced it with this. So this is a Yamaha Avantage, RX 2060 here. Let's go in there. And this is a really nice receiver. Now, it did cost quite a bit. We got it on clearance. This is the last year's model, but it was still, second from the flagship model that Yamaha makes. But it is a beast of a receiver. And unlike the Onkyo, it's not Class A. I believe this is like Class AB or something. So amusingly enough, it produces more power, but it doesn't just waste it all in heat, which is good because electricity prices in Australia are sort of nuts. So this is one of the new, Yamaha Music Cast receivers. I can actually stream music to this without turning on the entire system, which is kind of really cool. Handles all sorts of inputs. The other reason why we went with this model in particular was because the calibration system actually allows for dual independent subwoofer calibration. So we have this 8-year-old Yamaha RST YS300. It's the RSW300 subwoofer, an active servo subwoofer. And at the back, we've got a second one here. This is a discontinued unit. This one's not 8 years old. This is brand new because I bought this, again, sort of on clearance. This might be the last one that you could really buy at the same hi-fi store, funnily enough, that we bought all this stuff from 8 years ago. Still a small business that's, it's nice to see that it's stuck around. Really good people called Eastwood Hi-Fi, if you check them out on the internet. They've actually got quite an amusing website. But we have therefore now a dual subwoofer system, and the advantage of having dual subs is that the kind of room interactions that you get from the bass sort of reflecting off the walls and stuff like that, they sort of even out a little with the subs. And last night, I set up the receiver, did the calibration. I did not remember how arcane the process of setting up a receiver is, but I must have spent like an hour getting a tripod out and getting the calibration microphone and everything like that, and getting this all set up. So with the dual subwoofer calibration, it's done with this YPAO microphone and a little dealie here. So the interesting thing about the calibration on the 2060 is that it allows for multi-point calibration. So, you can do calibration on each of the seats, but also it does angle calibration. So you put the microphone into these little parts here in this dealie, and then it does height calibration for Dolby Atmos sorts of setups here. So you put the microphone on top and then it can measure the overall height of each of the speakers. And, we actually don't have a Dolby Atmos setup here. It's actually just a 5.1 setup. But one day we might decide to put presence speakers in the corners of the room. So that's sort of why we got the 2060, so we could be prepared for that. So the floor standing speakers that you might have noticed here, all the speakers in the system are from a UK company called Mission, and this is the Mission M35i. Again, this is 8 years old, but it is a real beast of a speaker here. I love speakers. I've had fun building my own speakers in the past, but unfortunately, speakers are not very practical to collect. Because they're huge, you can't fill up your house with speakers, and I'm sure some people do, but that sounds like a nightmare to me. And they're difficult to sell because they're huge, unlike headphones. So, I love audio, but headphones was sort of my entry into the collection part of it. As far as speakers go, I think you buy a nice pair of speakers, they last for ages and ages until the foam surrounds or the surrounds on the drivers start to decay, or a kid tips them over or something like that. But these have gone great for 8 years. It's a configuration where one of these woofers, I believe, delivers the mid-tones, and then two of the woofers are mid-bass and bass drivers, and then we've got the tweeter here. It is something that can go down to about 60 hertz. And when we bought them, you didn't necessarily need to get a subwoofer with them. We decided to get a subwoofer because it's a large room. But you can imagine from the physical size of these full range front speakers that you could get a substantial bass response out of them. I think that these have been great. Just incredibly solid, weighty kind of units, rear ported here, as you can see. Lots of fun. These speakers have been lots and lots of fun. And I don't think you can buy them anymore, but they seemed like pretty good value when we did buy them at the time. If I had to replace it today, we'd probably get something from perhaps Q Acoustics or something like that. I think they make some attractive units. But you can see that it all matches the entertainment unit and everything like that. So the color scheme here is brown. And now the centerpiece here is our 50-inch Pioneer Plasma. This is a Kuro Plasma, one of the last generation of Kuro plasmas that could produce black levels that only you're starting to get with current generation OLEDs and LED TVs. I understand why plasma as a technology kind of died, because they're not particularly great for daytime viewing. But a lot of people told me when we bought this plasma, plasmas don't last. And that is completely untrue as far as our unit has gone. This was a made in Japan unit with a 5-year warranty. It's lasted longer than that, much longer than that. And it's still going strong. In fact, I kind of, a part of me wishes that it would die, because then we could replace it with something, even grander. We were thinking of a ultra short throw projector to put on this entertainment unit and then cast like a 100-inch image onto the wall. But while this is still kicking, we're not going to toss it. It's a great television. every few years I recalibrate it with a colorimeter to amp up the brightness levels, because the brightness levels do decay as time goes on, but it's still growing strong. So I've turned it up and I've got Shin Godzilla playing, and I'm going to give you a bit of a demo, and clearly you're going to hear some amazing surround sound effects through this mono microphone that we're recording. Obviously not. But this is Shin Godzilla playing on this. And a word about the Australian Blu-ray release of Shin Godzilla. Again, I have a review of this movie, which you should absolutely check out if you haven't, because I love this movie. The Madman release, or the Australian release of this movie, took out all the super text, the classic Hideaki Anno super text that was all over the screen in every scene, with location data and information about tanks, and they replaced it with these stupid subtitles there, which is very upsetting. Also, this kind of banding is obviously not something that I'm seeing now. But this system, when it goes loud, it goes very loud and very uncomfortable. So this is our home theater system, and there are bits and pieces that I haven't really talked about, like the center speakers and the rear speakers that are all part of this, but it's basically not as interesting as all the other stuff. But it has lasted 8 years. It's still something that I can sit down with and just really appreciate. I know home theater systems are not really that much in fashion anymore as people get into smaller living spaces. It's sort of hard to justify having these kind of huge setups here. We were really lucky to have this huge room that we could set this up in. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you guys have a home theater setup, or what you guys do to watch television. I honestly spend more of my time watching, on smaller displays like iPads and stuff like that. But when we do sit down and watch a movie, have a movie night with this system, it really goes off. So let me know what you think.